I'm here with my good friend Shaun Herbertson, fellow filmmaker and film lover.
Hello.
We just saw Dunkirk at IMAX. I'm curious to know what you thought.
I liked it. I think just the way it's delivered, it's such a visual and audio
Extravaganza. I'm not sure how I feel. I'm probably going to have to maybe see it at least one or two more times because particularly the first half is very jumbled in how it's delivered.
Yeah.
The structure of the film and its pacing is kind of a bit bizarre.
Yeah, there was a bit of time jumping. I mean, there's one moment where they're in the English Channel and it's daytime, and then hours by boat away, it's full on night. So obviously, but they don't really acknowledge it. It just kind of happened. He's the kind of guy that plans out every second of screen time and knows what he's doing.
He does seem to know what he's doing.
Good.
He's a good filmmaker.
Someone does. It's Dunkirk, the IMAX experience, kind of like they have the Arctic IMAX. Do you know what I mean? It's do you remember any of the characters' names or much about them? It's kind of like you just observe this one moment in time.
It's a weird kind of meld of what feels like, in terms of its production and its actors and its direction, like it's a narrative film, but it's also kind of like it's a documentary almost.
Yeah, recreation. Everything was done so well. It's ballsy to tell a film that way.
I do like that in a sense that, particularly in the beginning, you're just thrown straight in. It's like, bang, all right, now you're with these soldiers, you're just going to experience it how they're experiencing it.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
But then the whole film is kind of just like that. I would have liked something a bit more to connect with other than just look at the spectacle of the war and what these guys are going through.
That was my biggest criticism, was that just a little bit more about the guys. I want to care about them a little bit more. Little bit, right?
Yeah, you do want to care about what's happening on screen and what's happening to the people on screen. I don't feel any connection really with any of the characters in this. You can't even really call them characters. At times it can be really difficult discerning who's who.
Yeah,
because three of the main sort of soldier guys that you follow all kind of look identical. Particularly once you scruff them up, put them in the same uniform, put them in the same kind of muddied outfit. And then when you add that with all the kind of jumping around between times and scenes and day and night and different locations, it gets really messy. So skip to this time if you want to avoid any main spoilers.
Some of those young soldier guys that they were following, I'm not actually sure which ones survived.
Yeah.
I know two of them did. One of them was the French guy.
The two guys on the train at the end.
Yeah.
One of them is the guy from the very beginning, and the other guy, I can't actually remember what.
He was French.
I don't know what happened to that French guy. Actually,
he died.
He may have died, and we didn't notice.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Which is a problem.
And
it's
then funny that, right?
The other guy was a guy who I think was first introduced on the boat that they all almost drown in.
Is that a problem, that we don't 100% know what happened to each of the characters?
I think it's definitely a problem. Even though we talked about how it does feel a bit weird kind of throwing you around between times and scenes and different characters, and it all feels quite jumbled and messy, you can then relate that back to, and maybe this was Nolan's intention, I don't know, but that would be what war is like.
Yeah.
All over the place, you don't know kind of what's coming at you.
It's chaotic, and where's that guy gone, and what day is it?
I have to guess that that's kind of the intention of it.
Yeah, there must be something like that.
It's very deliberately done that way, and I can't think of any other reason why it would be like that. I can't fault it for having a ballsy kind of approach, and it's definitely production-wise, for the most part, very well done. Also, we saw it in IMAX with the 70mm film presentation, which was beautiful.
It's the way to see it.
As Christopher Nolan himself intended, but just as a cinema-going experience in general, and what I like to get out of a film, I feel like it didn't quite give me what I was grasping for.
Sometimes you want a nice, well-rounded story, but it was just a blip in time. There's a lot of repetitive stuff, but that's the whole point. They're getting hounded by the Germans for days and days on end and waiting for these ships to turn up.
There's about 75,000 different shots of people looking up into the sky as planes approach.
So like, you know, watchability again, if you should ever judge a movie on its rewatchability, but I feel like I've experienced it. I'm content with that, but I'm not sure if I would really rush to see it again.
I did really like his shot choices. The way it was shot was a lot of nice, steady shots where you can really see what's going on. There's no crazy action, close-up cutting. You don't get much of that these days in your movies.
No, because like, you know, how easy it is to put CGI in movies at that level.
He's on me.
I'm on him.
Do you want to talk about sound design?
Yeah, I do want to talk about that.
Fucking sound design, mate. When some of those first shots were fired off, I jumped in my seat, Dave.
The sound design was very good,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I can say the same necessarily for the score. Sometimes was pretty suitable, but I felt like other times it was really distracting and over the top. Almost every scene had a build in the music to a point, and then sometimes that build to the point didn't really result in anything.
How did you like the ticking metaphor of ticking in the score and the fight against the clock to get these guys off the beach?
I like that. I think that's really, it works. It's clever. The very first opening scene where one of the soldiers is trying to run away from the enemy and he's been shot at, and as he continually is trying to get away from the fire, the intensity of the music and the ticking of the clock beats with like what I imagine his heartbeat would have been going like.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really clever. It's a weird mix because the film did a really good job of portraying everything as real. The way everybody's dressed, the way everything's shot, the way everything's paced is pretty well done to what I imagine a war scenario would be like. But then you've got this really overblown, crazy score that kicks in through a lot of the film. And it just stands out against all that stuff.
It wasn't subtle.
No, it was not subtle.
It was like, it just goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they fly off. And like, shit, back on the beach again. It's bold and intense, and I like it.
I like it a lot. Well, Shaun.
Yes, Dave.
Final thoughts and rating.
I feel like I have a glimpse of what it might have been like to be there. I was on the edge of my seat. I thought it was good, yeah. I kind of need to let it rest for a few days to really put it into good words, but I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Do you do 4 out of 5?
Out of 10, please, mate.
I'm going to give it 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Thumbs. Oh, no, when you go into fucking 10. I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. Maybe this is like what happens when you make 3 superhero movies. You make something really grounded and serious and doesn't fuck about. So maybe this is his answer to making movies for nerds all these years.
Where are we going? Dunkirk.
I'm not going back.
There's no hiding from this sun.
Coming straight out of it, I'm a tad underwhelmed. I don't know if it just really sang to me the way it's sung to other people who have been praising it that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
I don't come out of this feeling like I want to call it a masterpiece, which I think some people have.
Not the M word.
Not the M word.
No.
That's crazy.
That's crazy talk. You got to reserve that for actual masterpieces.
This is a good look into what a war situation would be like. The way they chose to tell it, I think, is reflective of the experience, but I just felt like I wanted a little bit more out of it. If you're a fan of Christopher Nolan's previous movies, I feel like this is quite an outlier. And I don't know if you'd necessarily enjoy it if you enjoyed his other movies. I don't really feel like it's a movie to be enjoyed, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. Absolutely. Don't enjoy this movie.
It's kind of like a marvel to witness. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. This was an interesting experience.
Something to talk about at the coffee shop.
Something to talk about at the water cooler at the office the next day. Although we don't know much about that. We don't have water coolers.
No, I can't afford that.
We shall never surrender.
We shall never surrender. We shall never surrender.
I'd like to thank Shaun for joining me for his first review. Appreciate having you on.
Thank you, mate. It's been a blast.
We'll see you next time. Cheers.
Peace.